Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed. This is Complete Aviation Solutions Deep Dive number 132. Today, we're soaring into some really compelling and impactful developments shaping the aviation world right now. We're going to explore everything from groundbreaking security advancements, innovative sustainability initiatives, even a truly revolutionary new aircraft design. And then we'll dive into the very real, sometimes challenging impact of aviation taxes. It might seem like a mixed bag, but you'll see how it all connects.
Absolutely. And our mission, like always, is to
Yeah.
pull out the most important insights, maybe some surprising facts from the sources you've shared. We want to give you a quick but still thorough understanding of these critical areas. And what's really fascinating, I think, is how these different topics, security, energy, manufacturing, economics, they aren't separate silos. They're actually deeply interconnected. They all influence how the whole aviation industry operates and where it's heading. We'll connect those dots for you.
Okay, let's dig into this then, starting with a genuinely pioneering achievement in aviation security, something setting a new global benchmark. We have news that an airport in Australia has become the first airport in the world to complete a security assessment under a brand new global program. You know, when you hear first in the world, especially for security and aviation, that definitely gets your attention. What exactly does this involve?
That's a great point. Because this isn't just, ticking boxes on a basic audit. This is the International Air Transport Association's, that's I-80, Security Management Systems Certification. They call it SEMS. And I-8A, well, it's the big one, the Global Trade Association for Airlines. We're talking over 350 airlines, something like 80% of all air traffic. So when they launch a new standard like SEMS, it carries real weight. The framework itself is exceptionally rigorous. It's a structured, holistic way to manage security risks. Think of it like a continuous health check for the airport's entire security setup, from the top execs down to handling incidents on the ground.
So it's more than just a snapshot, it's about an ongoing system. What specific areas does this SEMMS assessment really zero in on?
Exactly. It's about being proactive, always improving, not just reacting. The audit focuses on 6 core components. First, there's corporate governance, basically. Is security a priority right at the top in the boardroom? Then, resource management, having the right people, tech, funding, crucial stuff. Threat and risk management is key, too, constantly looking for vulnerabilities, even subtle ones, before they become real problems. You've also got quality assurance and control, making sure procedures are actually followed consistently, and emergency and incident management, being ready to respond effectively if something does happen. And finally, security documentation, making sure everything's clearly recorded, communicated. It's incredibly thorough, designed to minimize error, maximize resilience.
Wow, okay. And this Australian airport didn't just pass, they were certified at the highest level of entry. That sounds impressive. What did they do so well?
Yeah, highest level right out of the gate. They really excelled in a few key areas. They got specific praise for their executive leadership engagement. So security wasn't just delegated, it was actively driven from the very top. Their cross-functional collaboration was called out too, meaning different departments like ops, IT, customer service, all working together smoothly on security. Critically, they showed innovation and continuous improvement. They were actively seeking better ways, not just meeting the minimum standard. And naturally, their alignment with global standards, showing how deeply they'd embedded IATA's principles.
And connecting this back to the passengers, why is this level of commitment so vital for an airport handling, 24 million passengers a year? It sounds like more than just compliance.
Oh, absolutely. It's about building trust and, frankly, operational excellence. For those 24 million people, it means a greater sense of safety, a smoother experience, hopefully. More security, but also efficiency. The airport's CEO put it as benchmarking against the highest international standards. Which makes sense, right? Especially as they're growing fast ahead of the Brisbane 2032 Olympics and Paralympics. It's really a proactive step to future-proof safety as they scale up.
And it's not just a one-time thing either. This airport, Australia's third busiest, is already in the middle of a massive $5 billion transformation. And that includes major security screening upgrades. So it really shows this sustained, forward-looking approach to safety and efficiency. Building for the future. Okay, let's transition now smoothly, hopefully, to another big development. This time, though, we're focusing on environmental innovation over in New Zealand. This next story is, well, it's really interesting because of its sheer ambition. We just heard about a major milestone on one of New Zealand's biggest solar projects, installing the very first row of solar panels. They call it the Golden Row in the industry, apparently, at a solar farm located right at an airport. What's the significance of this Golden Row?
Right, the Golden Row. It sounds a bit fancy, but it's actually a crucial step. It's not just about the first panels physically going in place. It's the first full-scale test run, checking all the electrical connections, the power flow, validating the whole quality assurance process. Getting that golden thumbs up means the rest of the massive installation can scale up safely and efficiently across the whole site. It's a big hurdle cleared, psychologically and practically. And the scale here is ambitious. It's being built on a huge 230-hectare site at the airport. It's a partnership, too, involving a global energy company, a local provider, and the airport itself.
Huh. So this isn't just about the airport offsetting its own power usage then. Sounds like there's a bigger picture here.
Exactly. The airport's vision goes way beyond just reducing its own carbon footprint, important as that is. They're using their land. Airports often have a lot of land in really innovative ways to create a whole renewable energy precinct. This feeds directly into New Zealand's national decarbonization goals. It fundamentally changes the airport's role. It's not just a place for planes, it's becoming an active player in the country's energy transition. An airport as a major clean energy producer for the community. It's quite a model.
And the numbers are impressive. Once it's finished, this 168 megawatt DC solar farm, it'll generate enough renewable electricity for, what, more than 36,000 homes? That's a serious contribution. But are there unique challenges building something like this at an airport? I imagine there must be.
Oh, definitely. It's not quite as simple as just finding a big field. At an airport, you've got unique things to worry about, like managing potential glare or glint off the panels that could affect pilots during takeoff or landing. That's a big safety concern. You also have wildlife management, especially birds. You need careful strategies to mitigate bird strikes near panels. And then there's the complex job of integrating this huge new power source into the existing electrical grid safely and reliably. So this project really shows how airports are tackling these complexities, how this kind of major infrastructure can be used for green energy while keeping operations safe. It highlights a shift, really, in how the aviation sector might approach its environmental footprint, moving beyond just flights to broader solutions.
Okay, from these huge infrastructure projects, let's pivot to a different kind of innovation altogether. An aircraft manufacturer that's completely rethinking aircraft design, specifically for pilot training. We're talking about a newly FAA Part 23 certified trainer aircraft, and its whole approach is geared towards hyper efficiency, low weight, and much lower maintenance, which is super important when you hear forecasts needing 30,000 new pilots globally every year. So what's the tech breakthrough here? What makes it so different?
Yeah, the core innovation is the company's proprietary carbon one-shot monocoque construction. Now, to give you some context, traditional aircraft manufacturing, it often involves literally thousands of separate airframe parts, rivets, fasteners, panels, all needing assembly and inspection. This one-shot approach just throws that out the window. It reduces the main airframe components down to just 9. You've got the fuselage core, a single-piece wing, which also cleverly acts as the main spar and holds the fuel, the horizontal stabilizer, the rudder, left and right ailerons, left and right flaps, and the canopy frame. 9 major structural parts. It's an almost unbelievable simplification.
9 for the main structure. That sounds, well, revolutionary. What are the practical benefits of building a plane like that?
The benefits are pretty profound, really. They ripple through everything. First off, it means the aircraft is exceptionally light, but also incredibly strong structurally. That helps directly with aerodynamic efficiency. But beyond just performance, fewer parts means way less maintenance. Fewer bolts to check, fewer joints where corrosion could start, fewer points for fatigue over time. That simplicity also means fewer potential failure points, which enhances safety and the aircraft's lifespan. And from a manufacturing angle, it could streamline production, maybe lower costs, speed things up.
And here's a twist I found really interesting. The inspiration wasn't even from aerospace, was it? It came from competitive yachting, like high-performance racing yachts using carbon fiber hulls. Apparently, the co-founder and CEO has a background in performance yachting himself. How does that translate to aircraft design?
It's a fantastic example of borrowing ideas across industries, isn't it? The CEO basically realized that the principles behind carbon fiber monocoque construction, which give racing yachts their incredible strength-to-weight ratio and efficiency, could be applied directly to aircraft. In both fields, you need structures that are super rigid, but also incredibly light. You want maximum performance from minimum material. This carbon one-shot technique is all about creating these large, single integrated carbon fiber structures. It just eliminates the need for assembling loads of smaller bits. So yeah, taking a proven concept from another demanding high-performance environment and adapting it smartly for aviation.
So bringing it back to the pilot shortage and maybe the environment. What's the real-world impact? If it's that efficient, does it actually make flight training cheaper?
Absolutely. The cost of flight training is a huge hurdle, right? And this aircraft aims straight at that. Let's talk numbers. It operates on just 12 liters of fuel per hour. 12. Compare that to a standard trainer, maybe like a Cessna 172, which might burn around 38 liters per hour. That is a genuine game changer for a flight school's operating costs. Huge savings over the life of the plane. And that efficiency translates directly to the environment too, about a 70% reduction in CO2 emissions during training flights. That's remarkable. Plus it uses regular unleaded gasoline, MOGASes, which is cheaper and less environmentally impactful than traditional leaded AVGAS.
And one more benefit, especially for communities near airports or flight schools. The design, plus a three-bladed propeller, apparently changes the noise profile, making it quieter or at least perceived as less intrusive. That's a big plus. Okay, let's shift gears now to maybe a more challenging side of aviation. The economics, and specifically taxes. We're looking at a major low-cost airline's recent decision to cut flights pretty significantly in France, and the direct reason given, a massive 180% hike in France's passenger ticket tax, the solidarity tax on airline tickets. This isn't just minor rote tinkering, is it?
No, not at all. The impact within France is quite widespread. This airline has cut about 13% of its total French capacity. That works out to 750,000 seats gone and 25 routes just eliminated. But what's really striking is where the cuts are falling. Regional airports are getting hit disproportionately hard. 3 specific regional airports are losing all service from this airline entirely. Others are seeing cuts around 27%. Compare that to the big hubs. Marseille saw only a 9% cut, Paris-Beauvais 8%, Toulouse 4%. It clearly shows the airline pulling back where those ultra-low margins are most squeezed by the tax increase.
And the potential fallout for some of these regions sounds severe. Local officials for one airport warned that losing this airline permanently could actually lead to the airport closing. That specific airport might lose 18,000 passengers just this winter. Beyond the immediate numbers, what's the bigger hit for these communities? You mentioned this airport had doubled passengers since the airline arrived in 2021.
The structural impact is huge. For these regional places, it's not just losing flights. It's a serious blow to investment potential, local tourism, those vital, affordable airlinks. In the case of the airport you mentioned, this airline was the only one providing direct, low-cost flights to the UK, a massive source of tourism and business for them. When that connection is severed, it hits hotels, restaurants, local jobs, everything. It sends a signal that connectivity is fragile, making the region seem less attractive for investment. It creates real economic vulnerability.
So this obviously raises the question of the conflicting views here. The French government has its reasons for the tax hike.
Right.
The government frames it around supporting climate goals, solidarity efforts, funding global health, the ecological transition. It's positioned as generating revenue for public good and maybe nudging travel habits. But the airline has a completely different take. They call the tax damaging and anti-competitive. Their argument is that it kills the commercial viability of routes, especially with their business model built on super thin margins, high volume, and efficiency. They point to places like Ireland, Poland, Italy that don't have these kinds of ticket taxes at all, saying it puts France at a competitive disadvantage.
And this isn't the first time this airline has reacted this way to tax increases, is it? There's a pattern here.
Yes, it seems to be their established playbook. They did something similar in Germany, previously cut 1.8 million seats, pulled out of certain airports entirely after tax hikes there, and they've made similar threats about cutting capacity in the UK and the Netherlands too. It really highlights this fundamental tension. Governments trying to use taxes as a policy tool for climate or social goals, versus airlines, especially low-cost ones, operating on such tight margins that any big cost increase can force them to just abandon routes. And while the French transport minister has apparently pledged no further increases for now, the damage, those immediate cuts, they really show how sensitive the industry is, particularly regional connectivity.
So we've really covered a lot of ground today. From setting new global security standards, pushing boundaries in sustainable energy at airports, to completely rethinking how training aircraft are built for efficiency, and then facing the hard economic realities of how taxes impact airline routes and regional access. It's quite the spectrum.
It truly is. And what stands out, I think, is how these aren't isolated issues. We've seen today how security, sustainability, technology, and economics are all tangled together in aviation. Understanding these different facets, how they push and pull on each other, is really key if you want to grasp where the future of flight is truly headed.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something for you to think about. How do these seemingly separate threads, a new security protocol in Australia, a giant solar farm in New Zealand, an ultra-efficient trainer born from yachting tech, and the direct fallout of a tax policy in France, how do they collectively shape the future? Which of these forces, innovation, or external pressures like taxation, do you think will ultimately have the biggest long-term impact on your own travel experiences and the overall shape of aviation to come? Thank you for tuning in to Complete Aviation Solutions Deep Dive number 132. We'll catch you next time.